Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for today, Wednesday, March 13th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over a recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they ultimately ended up turning out. After that, we'll get over to the injuries in play over on RotoWire. It's going to give you a 7-game main slate on both sites tonight. There are 9 games for the NBA in total. The last 2 games of the night will not be on the main slate, but we'll quickly glance over those injuries as well. And then after that, we'll get moved over to both DraftKings and FanDuel and talk about my core plays for today. It's going to be one player at each position, so point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. So at the point guard position on DraftKings, we went with Tyus Jones, $6,200. Looking for at least 31 out of him. Only got to 19 yesterday. He was a miss. 1 for 9 shooting from the field. He did play 34 minutes in this game, had 9 assists, but that was pretty much it yesterday, so a really unfortunate day for him overall. And then initially at shooting guard to start the day, we had Luke Kennard here, who was $5,000. Was looking for 25 out of him, got to 32.5, so he was a hit. I did, in the updated core, leave Amen Thompson there after he was announced that he would be starting. $4,900, looking for 24, 25 out of him, only got to 15.5, so technically he was a miss as well. Played 23 minutes in this game, 2 for 2 shooting from the field. Just didn't do a whole heck of a lot yesterday, which, once he was announced that he was starting, I thought he was going to get a couple of rebounds here and there and kind of help out in that regard, but just didn't really do too much overall. Then at small forward, we had Gordon Hayward, $3,600, looked for 18 out of him, got 23, so he was just a pretty solid value play all around yesterday. And then at power forward, we had Kyle Kuzma, $8,000, looking for at least 40 out of him, got to 40.75, so he was a hit once again. And then last but not least, at that center position, said go with whoever ends up starting for the Boston Celtics. Ended up being Luke Cornett, so $4,000, looking for at least 20 out of him, got to 34.25, so he was a hit as well. So a pretty decent day all around. Obviously, Tyus Jones and Amen Thompson weren't the greatest, but, if you went with Luke Kennard over Amen Thompson, then maybe it worked out just a little bit better. If you had some other good plays alongside the core, you had a pretty decent chance of cashing all together. Then on the FanDuel side at point guard, we had Fred VanVleet, $8,000, looking for at least 40 out of him, got to 49.9, so he was a good hit. And then at shooting guard, we had Luke Kennard, $4,700, looking for at least 24 out of him, got to 30.8, so he was a hit. And then at small forward, we had Gordon Hayward, $4,200, so a little bit more expensive on FanDuel yesterday, looking for at least 21 out of him, got to 22.3. Also a hit. And then the one lone miss on the FanDuel side yesterday was Jabari Smith Jr. at $7,400. Looking for 37 out of him, got to 32.3. He was a mess. Wasn't really like a bad day for him. Just kind of was expecting a little bit more out of him, especially at his price tag. And then last but not least, we had Luke Cornett, who was $4,400, looking for 22 out of him, got to 34.8, so he was a hit as well. So 4 out of 5 in terms of hits yesterday on the FanDuel side. Jabari Smith Jr. wasn't a guy that completely killed your lineup. So as long as you at least had some other decent plays, it was a pretty easy day to cash over on the FanDuel side. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to RotoWire and talk about those injuries in play for tonight's slate. So we're going to start off with the Toronto Raptors, who are without Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Chris Boucher, DJ Carton, and Jakob Poeltl for tonight's game. And then they also do have Emmanuel Quickley and Gary Trent, both listed as questionable to play. Both did most of their most recent game. So obviously could be a pretty big value spot for this Toronto Raptors team once again. We'll see what that looks like as the day moves along, though. And then on the opposite side with the Detroit Pistons, we got Asir Thompson listed as questionable to play once again due to an illness. It sounds like he's been dealing with like some asthma stuff too as well, so we'll keep an eye on that as the day moves along. Then we move over to the Brooklyn Nets. Just Cam Johnson listed as probable to play tonight due to an ankle injury. Probably going back to that bench unit since Cam Thomas is back at this point in time as well. And then the Orlando Magic appear to be all the way healthy at this point in time. Moving over to the Chicago Bulls, we got Torrey Craig listed as probable to play for tonight's game. I believe he did return in their most recent game. And then Jalen Phillips is listed as questionable for tonight's game. He's not a major part of the rotation, but dealing with a little bit of foot injury. The Pacers are one of the few teams on the back-to-back today, so we'll see what their injury report looks like as the day moves along. We get down to the Denver Nuggets, who are just without Kankar once again. He's been out all year. And then on the Miami Heat side, Tyler Hero, Kevin Love, both out once again. Jimmy Butler is listed as probable for tonight's game after, I believe, missing their most recent game due to illness. And then we move over to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have Ty Jerome, Evan Mobley, Max Strus, Tristan Thompson, and Dean Wade. All this is out for tonight's game overall. But they do have a little bit of good news, as Donovan Mitchell is technically listed as questionable to play due to his knee injury, so we'll see whether or not he ultimately ends up returning tonight or not. If he doesn't, could be opening up some pretty good value on this team overall. And then on the Pelicans side, where they just had Dyson Daniels out, he's been out for a little while and going to continue to be out for a little while as well. Then we move down to the Charlotte Hornets. LaMelo Ball, Seth Curry, Cody Martin, Bryce McGowan, Mark Williams. All this is out once again. Trey Mann listed as questionable, dealing with that groin injury. We'll see ultimately whether or not he's back tonight or not. If he's not, we're just going to look at the same starting five as we've seen in their most recent games. And then on the opposite side of the game, we have the Memphis Grizzlies, who are on the back-to-back, so we'll just have to see what their injury report looks like as the day moves along. Then we move over to the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry's out once again tonight, so Chris Paul will be in that starting lineup. And then for the Dallas Mavericks, it's just Williams out tonight, who is like a third or fourth string guard for them pretty much. So we're not too worried about him overall. Then we get down to the last two games of the night, which are not on the main slate. We got the Atlanta Hawks, Kobe Buffkin, Onyeka Okongwu, Trae Young all out once again. Jalen Johnson listed as doubtful to play. Seth Lundy's technically here, but he's down in the G League, so we're not too worried about him either way as well. On the Portland Trailblazers side, we got Malcolm Brogdon, Shaedon Sharpe, Jabari Walker all out once again. Then we got Ryan Rupert and Jeremy Grant, both listed as questionable to play once again. We'll see whether or not they ultimately end up playing tonight or not. And then Justin Minaya did miss their most recent game due to illness. Will probably be back for tonight's game, but not a major part of their rotation whatsoever. Get down to the Los Angeles Lakers, who have Castleton, Cam Reddish, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, and Christian Wood. All this is out. Reddish is on the newer side there, so we'll see what that looks like in terms of the rotation today. Probably doesn't change things too much, though, since they do have Spencer Dinwiddie now, and then Max Christie could play some of those minutes as well. And then we have LeBron James listed as questionable, and Anthony Davis listed as probable, as per usual. Would assume that both do ultimately end up playing tonight. And then on the Kings side, they're on the back-to-back, so we'll just see what their injury report looks like as the day moves along. Sasha Vechenko should remain out. Keegan Murray missed last night's game due to an ankle injury, and then Trey Lyles did leave that game early due to, I believe, a knee injury, so we'll see what that looks like as the day moves along. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate overall. As always, I'll be posting all the injury updates down in the comments throughout the day. Probably be closer to coming out to like 4 o'clock Central Time, 5 o'clock Eastern Time. I'll be sleeping a little bit during the day today, but we'll kind of have all those kind of in a big glob there unless anything comes out pretty early this morning. So definitely be on the lookout for that, as well as the starting lineups as they do get posted throughout the night. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my core picks over there as well. So at point guard, we're going right back to Chris Paul today. He's still $6,900, too cheap a price tag at this point in time. Looking for at least 35 out of him. Going against Dallas Mavericks tonight. Not quite as attractive matchup as it was in their most recent game. Dallas plays a little bit slower, but still like him for about 36 fantasy points tonight. Looks like a really solid option all around. Even a cash game option if you want to go there today. Then at shooting guard, we're going to go with Cam Thomas for the Brooklyn Nets. He is $6,600. Looking for at least 33 out of him. He's averaging about 31 so far on the season. Goes against Orlando tonight. Should be a decent little matchup there. Orlando has played better on defense at times this year, but then they've also had some games where they haven't been the greatest at the same time as well. So like Cam Thomas tonight, he's played really well since he's been back. He's been playing big minutes and do kind of expect that once again tonight. Have him currently projected for about 34, 35. Could have a little bit of upside for more. Obviously comes with a little bit of downside for less since he is one of those point scoring dependent players. Then at small forward, we're going to go to Bruce Brown Jr. for the Toronto Raptors. He's $5,100. Looking for 25, 26 out of him. He should be in that starting lineup. He came back last game. He played big minutes, so not too concerned minutes-wise. There's no RJ Barrett tonight, so he should be in the starting lineup with no RJ Barrett at the very least. Now, we're talking if Emmanuel Quickley and Gary Trent Jr. both end up missing, one of them ends up missing, then there is some more ball handling duties to go around for a guy like Bruce Brown. He's a guy that can do a little bit of everything, so do like him quite a bit tonight. Currently, I'm projected for about 28, 29 points. Could definitely go up from there, just kind of depending on who's in and who's out for this Toronto Raptors team overall. Then we move down to power forward. I got Jonathan Isaac here at $3,500. Just kind of a cheap value play overall. Guy, he's not playing a lot of minutes, but the minutes that he's played as of late, he's been getting about 20 DraftKings points or more. So definitely do like that upside tonight at that relatively cheap price tag. This could ultimately pivot and be somebody else throughout the day. But at $3,500, you're only looking to get 18 out of him. He's been over 20 the last 3 games. So definitely do like that upside there. Is just kind of a cheap value play overall. Then last but not least, we're going back to Nick Richards at that center position tonight. $5,700, looking for 28, 29 out of him. He's been up over 30 the last 3 games. If there is no Trey Mann, once again, is Grant Williams and him starting together, which definitely helps him out quite a bit. Favorable matchup tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies, so definitely do like him once again, and do have him currently projected for about 30 to 31 DraftKings points tonight. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed, you have $22,200 remaining, $7,400 per player remaining, so a decent amount of money left over. Definitely could pay up for a star player like Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic. Both have played extremely well as of late. Or if you want to do a little bit more balanced approach, you can definitely do that as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there. So at the point guard position on FanDuel, we're going to go with Luke Kennard here at $5,000. monitor his status throughout the day. There's been a lot of back-to-backs this year where he hasn't played the second half because they're trying to work with his knee that's kind of been bothering him at times this year. So we'll see ultimately whether or not he ends up playing or not. If he doesn't play, then maybe it's Jordan Goodwin in this spot. But it looks like a pretty good matchup for him overall, just going against the Charlotte Hornets. If there's no Jaren Jackson once again tonight, that usage bump is going to be there once again. And, taking on a little bit of playmaking responsibility, knocking down a couple of threes here and there. Going to be a pretty good one for him. It's against Charlotte Hornets. Should be a favorable matchup, although, both these teams are not great whatsoever at this point in time. Luke Kennard, $5,000, looking for at least 25. Currently, I'm projected for, right around that 27, 28 mark that we've seen out of him more times than not this season, especially in this type of matchup. Then at shooting guard, we're going to go with Klay Thompson, $6,100. No Steph Curry once again tonight. So looking for 30, 31 out of him. And that's essentially what I do have him projected for tonight. Right around 31. There is that upside for more if his shot's really going down. Obviously, with no Steph Curry out there, he's had 20 shots or more the last 3 games. The usage rate's obviously gone up. The fantasy points have gone up just a little bit too as well. Back in that starting lineup now, probably once again tonight. So definitely do like the upside that he could present overall. And then we'll get moved down to the small forward spot with Bruce Brown Jr. once again, $5,100 on FanDuel as well, which is the exact same price as DraftKings. At the very least, we know RJ Barrett's out tonight, so Bruce Brown should be in that starting lineup, returned in their most recent game, played big minutes. Now we have Emmanuel Quickley and Gary Trent, both listed as questionable. Both did not play in their most recent game. If they're out once again, he's going to take on some extra ball handling duties and look even better. So I do currently have him projected for right around 28 FanDuel points tonight. Definitely could go up from there, if Emmanuel Quickley and Gary Trent both missed tonight as well. Then we move down to power forward with Grant Williams. Worked out pretty well the other day, so we're kind of going back to him. If Trey Mann plays and he's not in that starting lineup, then we'll probably have to switch things up just a little bit. Should be a pretty attractive matchup versus the Memphis Grizzlies on the back-to-back. $5,600. You're looking for 28 out of him. Currently, I'm projected right around 28 once again tonight as well. So definitely do like him as kind of a cheaper value option. Obviously, there could be some other picks that come up throughout the day that make him look a little less appealing, but still a pretty solid, safe option to start off the day if Trey Mann's going to be out once again. Then last but not least, at that center position, we're going to Miles Turner. Talked about him yesterday. Ultimately ended up pivoting to the Boston Celtics center, whoever it ended up being that was starting, which ended up being Luke Cornett. So that one worked out well for us. Miles Turner had a really good game yesterday too as well. But as for today, $6,800, looking for 34 out of him. Averaging just over 33 so far in the season. If he's going out there, if he's getting decent-sized minutes, he's going to look pretty good once again. So far this season versus the Chicago Bulls, he had one game that was up over 40 fantasy points. I believe the other one was right around 37. So it looks like a pretty safe option tonight. Currently, I'm projected for about 34, 35. Definitely does have some upside for more at the same time as well. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do currently have listed here, you have $31,400 remaining, just over $7,800 per player. So a decent amount of room left over. Obviously, if you want to pay up for a star player, that's definitely something you can do, whether it's Luka Doncic at that point guard position. If you really want to pay up at that center position and Nikola Jokic, it's definitely something you could do. A little bit tougher matchup tonight against the Miami Heat and Bam Adebayo. So I'm leaning a little bit more towards playing guys like Miles Turner, playing more guys like Nick Richards, who have a little bit of upside kind of in that mid-range price instead, and then kind of paying up at some other different positions. But, it's probably going to be one of those slates, where you're going to pick your pay-up options. Everybody's going to be a little bit different today. I like a lot of the value that is kind of out there to start off the day, and obviously some other value that could pop up as the day moves along. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, March 13th. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments below. I do ask that you please note whether those questions are more FanDuel or DraftKings specific, just so I can best help you as quickly and efficiently as possible. And then, as always, I will be posting all those injury updates as they do come out throughout the day, as well as the starting lineups as they do come out throughout the night. And then, as always, I will have my updated core posted probably about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock today. Obviously, got a couple other things going on, probably a little bit closer to the time of lock. So we'll try to have that out probably about a half hour beforehand, might be a little bit closer than that. So definitely be on the lookout for that. That will be left as a pinned comment. And then if there's any other additional changes to that updated core after that point in time, I will leave them as a reply to that pinned comment as well. Did a little bit differently yesterday since we kind of had that one island game to start off the day. Didn't look too attractive. Obviously, Josh Hart really went off in that game, so probably wanted a little bit of exposure to him just in general. But kind of with all the other value that would be open up throughout the rest of the day, kind of did my updated core just a little bit later at that point in time. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, check it out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now we have NBA DFS Core Pick videos Monday through Friday. Coming up at the end of the month, we'll be doing some MLB DFS Core Pick videos kind of on the daily for the FanDuel side. And then we'll be doing some UFL DFS, which will probably just be on the DraftKings side because I don't think FanDuel's going to have it. And hopefully DraftKings does have it like they did last year for the USFL and the XFL. But if you're interested in either of those, be sure to check out those videos as well. But, at the same time, if it's something you haven't done before, you just want to check out the videos, kind of see what it's all about, ask some questions in the comments of those videos, definitely would recommend doing that and would be more than happy to help you guys with that journey as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Prize Picks, and Parlay Play. If you are a brand new user to any one of those three sites, you sign up, you make your initial deposit, you'll get a first match deposit bonus. For Parlay Play and Prize Picks, it's a 100% match up to $100 on your initial deposit. And then for BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,500 on your initial deposit as well. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there, whether you're just throwing $10 in, whether you're throwing $100 in, or going a little bit higher than that on the BetUS side as well. And then with that being said, if you have any other additional questions related to that, feel free to drop them down in the comments or reach out to me on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tune in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS tonight.